This is going to be a short video in regard to a problem I've encountered periodically, and I'm sure most potters have as well, and that is a too small splash pan. Ordinarily, the splash pan that comes with your wheel serves the purpose, but if on occasion you want to throw something larger or work on something larger, such as a large bowl or platter, and using an 18-inch bat, this splash pan is not going to serve the purpose. Therefore, it's going to have to be taken off, and when you begin to work, obviously all of your scrap and slip material is going to be spread out around your workspace, thus requiring a much larger splash pan. So the solution I've come up with is a splash pan that can be made in less than an hour, is inexpensive, is durable, and easily cleaned. What we have here is a Rubbermaid brute container. They're about $40 at the store. You can get them in different sizes, but this is the size that suits my purpose. The tools that I'll be using for this will be a skill saw, although you can do this by hand. It just makes it easier to use a powered skill saw. And also you're going to have to make two small cuts using a hand saw, and this is a very sharp, flexible hand saw that I got at Home Depot, and they're very inexpensive. Notice that I have cut two holes here and here directly underneath the handle using a hole cutter and a drill. Again, these are very common items that you can find in a hardware store. You need to cut these two holes underneath the handle in order to get into this area with the skill saw to cut around the circumference. Now, because the handle is in the way and interferes with the skill saw, you will need to use the hand saw, and that's why you need a large opening in order to get this hand saw in here, in order to cut directly underneath the handle here and the handle on the other side. After having measured, cut the circumference of the barrel directly underneath this ledge here, by the way, then the whole top quarter of the barrel should be free. The bottom part then you can use as a trash can in your studio or for scrap. But what you'll end up with is the top part, and at that point you're going to have to cut this slot in the lid. More on that later. As mentioned, after you have cut the slot into the lid of the container, and by the way, these slots will be different depending on the wheel that you have. This is a Pacifica wheel, so I've cut this slot to fit directly underneath this Pacifica. The slot will be different with other wheels, but because potters have learned from necessity to multitask, I'm sure that you'll be creative enough to figure out how to measure underneath the wheel in order to cut the slot correctly for your particular brand of wheel. If you've made the cut correctly, it should slide directly underneath the wheel head like so. If you have not done it correctly and you need another lid, these lids are sold separate from the barrels themselves, and they are very inexpensive. You'll notice that after sliding it underneath the wheel head, that it does not interfere with the turning of the wheel. You have this slot still in the lid, and what I do is take a tray, slide it underneath the slot so that any trimmings or slip can be pushed out into the tray, thus easily cleaned up. After you have put the lid underneath the wheel head, then it's just a matter of taking the top part of the barrel that you've cut off, like so, turn it upside down, and it snaps perfectly into the lid, perfectly into place, so it is very secure. At that point, you can throw or trim pretty much anything that is 18 inches plus. Another point that I would like to make is you'll notice I have cut this top part, the top part of the barrel, so that it is very high, and that's because I use a jigger to in tandem with a hump mold to make large bowls like so. Shameless plug. But if your needs are different and you need a shorter one, then you can cut this down at any level you want. Only one proviso here. The reason you cut underneath the ledge is in order to avoid sharp edges on the plastic that might scratch your arm. If you cut down lower, then you're going to have that complication. But that's easily remedied by taking a rubber hose, cutting it lengthwise, and putting the hose around the edge in order to save your arms. So this is basically how to make a large splash pan using the criteria I mentioned earlier on. My name is Craig Rhodes, and thank you for your time.